Thanks for tuning in to the premiere episode of Extrapreneurs. I'm your host, Ronnie Walsh. So what's an extrapreneur? Well, we're the women in business that go above and beyond to collaborate, innovate, share ideas, and provide solutions. There's no old school approach here. Now, let's get to it. 20 years ago, I started my career as a journalist working in cities across Canada. I spent a lot of my time as the court beat reporter, but I did get behind the anchor desk and run a few newsrooms. Eventually, I found my way to beautiful Newfoundland and Labrador and changed careers. No surprise to many, I went into marketing and communications. I worked for the provincial government and then for a national company, all as Director of Communications. My family runs their own farming business in Saskatchewan, so making your own way is part of my DNA. I guess you could say I'm an entrepreneur at heart. In 2009, I created 9 Island Communications. I co-own the business with my husband and have an amazing team that helps create award-winning communication strategies and television productions. When I'm not working, I love to cook and bake. I make a mean pierogi. Connecting people makes me happy. I love to tell their stories and I love to hear their stories. So that's me. On today's show, we're talking about barriers and opportunities facing women in business, and we'll figure out how to eat healthy when you're busy. We'll be right back. Newfoundland and Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs, supporting the women entrepreneurs of this province for more than 20 years.
Fill out the application. Budget for it, plan for it, make it happen.
Trust your gut.
Use tech to connect.
Encourage others along the way.
Prove them wrong.
No show about women succeeding in business could ignore the Newfoundland and Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs. NLO has advocated for women in business for 20 years. The organization recently completed research outlining the challenges and solutions facing women in business today. Here with me now to discuss it is NLO's CEO, Paula Sheppard. Welcome, Paula.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What are some of the biggest issues facing women in business?
Well, the reason why we actually wanted to embark on this piece of research and what we did for this piece of research is we did roundtable discussions right across the province. So we captured the voice of women entrepreneurs across the province. And the biggest barriers that came out for us first was the awareness that there still are barriers, because there's a misconception that people think there are no barriers for women entrepreneurs. The ones that came out of our research were access to financing, access to networks, and a work-family balance, of course, is always going to be one of the number ones.
Why don't women want to take that financial ask or make that financial ask to run a business?
Inherently, women are generally more risk averse, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they take on many more responsibilities. So for them to take that risk, they feel like they're putting their family at risk, or their young children, or their parents that they're looking after, or just general things that they try to keep their life in balance along with their work. Whereas you'll find that in general, other entrepreneurs will just focus completely on the business, take the risk, make it work, do whatever they can. So women tend to take more things into consideration, I think, when it comes to the risk piece.
One of the other issues that the action plan, your research found out was that women aren't, looking to get into senior leadership roles.
Yes.
What are some of the reasons contributing to that decision?
We also found the same. It was a lot to do with work-family balance. It was a lot to do with lack of access to the networks and not having a lot of mentors or other women leaders that they can look up to or aspire to be, I guess.
So what are the solutions?
The solutions for the women entrepreneurship piece definitely is the networks. Access to networks, increasing supports, what are some of the funding available. What we found when it comes to financing is that there are a lot of financing programs available. They're just not geared towards the sectors that women are predominantly in, which are the professional services sectors. For the women in leadership, some of the things that we recommend are, engaging more men and women as mentors, and to celebrate some of the senior leadership, the women in senior leadership, let them see the opportunities. Accessing those networks again is very much a key piece.
So is there an interest now with the financial institutions to gear some of these grants and loans to women who are in the existing businesses that they're in right now?
There absolutely is a very keen interest right now in women's entrepreneurship and how to grow that. Right now we're seeing it very sector specific, so women in the tech sector, women in the resource sector. So one of the things that we're advocating for is for some sort of loans program that is for women in all sectors, because again, like I said, because it's so sector specific and women are not in those sectors, that's where you're not seeing the growth of some of these existing businesses that we see. Our counterparts in Western Canada have a loans program that we're trying to figure out how we can mirror that here, because it is non-sector specific.
So in terms of networking, a lot of entrepreneurs feel a little tied to their desk.
Yeah.
Time is precious, and then if you're an entrepreneur who might have children, that makes your time a little bit more scarce to go by.
Absolutely.
How do you network if you can't get out there?
Well, and one of the things that we do is we try to do networking events at different times. So we'll have some that are breakfast, some that are lunchtime, some that are after work. So you try to cater to all those different groups. One of the other things that we really try to do is to partner on networking events. So you're not just going to see other women-owned businesses or other members of NLO. We do that sometimes, but then sometimes we'll say, okay, well, let's do a networking event with one of our partner organizations so their members and our members can also network, because you're not going to expand your networks if you go to the same events all the time, meet the same people. That's really important for us to partner with a lot of other associations.
And you talked about childcare earlier. That has been a long-standing issue. Is there movement or willingness to actually see some progress, within the next 20 years? Or
we would hope so. The provincial government does have a 10-year childcare strategy, which, of course, we're not experts in childcare, but, having read through it in preparation for the action plan, I did find some strong pieces there. One of the things that we found that we can do, and that's one of the things that we're always looking at, okay, what can we do as a business association to forward some of these things, is to promote the programs that are out there. Because what we found is that there are subsidies available. Even if you're a self-employed woman, you're eligible for some of those subsidies. And some of the daycares who are owned by some of the women entrepreneurs weren't aware that they could get subsidies from government to provide childcare spaces. Childcare is a huge, huge issue. And one of the other things that we really need to look at with childcare, it's two things I think we need to look at with childcare. The first one is what hours childcare is actually available, because most daycares are only available set hours, and if you're an entrepreneur, as you know,
9 to 5 kind of thing.
Yeah, as you know, it's all over the place in terms of when you're going to need childcare and flexibility of childcare. The second thing, and one of the things that came up, I mentioned we do things at different times, is for organizations, businesses, for women in leadership to be really cognizant of what those hours are. Because if you have female leadership and female, entrepreneurs that you want to work with, but you set meetings at 5 o'clock every Wednesday, and daycares are closing at 5:30, and your female, employees or businesses can't be there, because if it is, if you're the one with the car seat, you're the one that got to pick the children up. There's just no flexibility when it comes to that. So, there's movement on it, and that's how we're going to support that piece.
So how do you see the action plan moving things forward in Newfoundland and Labrador specifically?
Well, what we liked about the action plan was it is the voice of women entrepreneurs and women leaders. So it's not what NLO says, it's not what somebody else says, it's what these women gave us that feedback. And what the recommendations are then geared towards is not what I'm going to do or anybody else is going to do. It's what we are all going to do together. So there's recommendations for you as a person, recommendations for associations, and recommendations for 3 levels of government and what they can do. Because it's not just one person or group that's going to be able to move this forward. It's definitely collective.
And keep having the conversation about these issues.
Definitely keep this going. And, future plans in terms of this, we just did a cross-province series on an update of where we were in 1 year out, and we're going to continue to use that to put our messaging forward over the next few years.
Awareness is important.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here to talk about it today, Paula.
Thanks a lot.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are hosting Blog and Talk YYT, which we host every Sunday and sometimes a Wednesday or Thursday evening, which is for a group of bloggers who get together to chat and blog. My name is Mandy Woodland and I'm the co-founder of Jellyfish. Blogging, I think, is really important. Creating content has a lot of different benefits. For me, it's kind of a creative outlet. It's also a way to learn about new things and to be inspired. But for a business itself, it's exceptionally important to create content that helps kind of leverage your website, your return on your SEO, and the importance of creating a voice for your brand and reaching your customers and creating trust.
My name is Amanda Stelisano, and I do freelance blogging at my own business, Pink and Purple Pen. I blog for a lot of different clients, so I blog about a number of different subjects. My own personal blog, Modern Nan, I usually focus on travel, food, places to stay, things like that.
I'm Angela Goodger Sellers. My business is Natural Road to Wellness. It's where inner beauty meets outer beauty. I'm a certified coach practitioner and a Reiki master practitioner. Blogging, again, has most definitely built my business into who I am today, and the gaps that I can help in being a certified coach and help people between their inner beauty and their outer beauty. So it's kind of built a lot of trust, and when people hear my story, they feel more trusted because they're going through the same.
Whether I'm blogging for myself or blogging for other people, it adds a personal touch to any business, really. It just kind of draws people in and helps them see that there is a face, there is a person behind the business, and they put thought into it, they put their heart into it, and it is a passion for like what they do. It's the passion is behind it, and through blogging I really feel like you can share that rather than just like product information and things like that. It gives it a heart behind the business.
There are lots of different applications and sites for creating blogs and hosting blogs. Medium is one of the biggest, which is what I use. It's free, particularly for people starting out. And it's pretty easy. You can drag and drop, you just type in there. But lots of people create their own website, and if you're a good blogger, you should probably have your own site.
Building trust among people in today's world where they're all trying to sell. And I really think that people want an authentic story. They want it to be authentic. They want it to be real. They want to know that what they are investing in is true.
Time is precious for entrepreneurs, which means that there is little or no time to plan and prepare healthy meals. But you can run your business and do better than takeout. Here to tell us how is nutritionist Tara Antle. Welcome to the show, Tara.
Thanks so much for inviting me.
What impact does unhealthy eating have on entrepreneurs?
It's unbelievable. As an entrepreneur myself, I know how busy our days can be. And one thing, if we're not eating properly or eating unhealthy foods, there is a food-mood connection. It can make us feel tired, lethargic, cranky, irritable. Multitasking could be a nightmare. So healthy eating can actually help aid some of those day-to-day routines.
Well, you brought some amazing meals with you today. Let's talk about how these healthy solutions can, maybe make me less cranky.
Happy campers, happy customers.
What is this dish here?
Well, really what this one here is a vegetarian option. What I try to demonstrate is how we can take one basic simple meal and build other meals out of it. And it's kind of interesting that we want to be creative when it comes to food. And you know, we went into any restaurant, a lot of times there's only, you know, maybe 4 or 5 ingredients on the whole menu, on the whole list, but they've got it marketed different ways.
Right.
So that's what we're kind of getting here. So we started with a base meal of chili rub pork chops with some rice and a mango black bean salsa,
Yummy.
which can be a vegetarian option. So what we've done here is converted it over here to a lovely little wrap with some veggies and hummus on the side.
Nice.
To create another meal out of it, another variation.
So you're getting all of the proteins that you need and the vitamins and minerals that you need as well.
Absolutely. For anybody who's a vegan or a vegetarian, because there's all kinds of different definitions,
Right.
what's really important is that when we're trying to replace out protein is that we replace in a plant-based protein. The more color, the better that it is. Another recipe that I sometimes use is a 3-bean salad. The more color, the more likely you are to build a complete protein, which is better for optimal health and wellness.
Interesting. So what's this? This looks like a pizza.
Yeah, it was just taking the leftover pork and making a little pizza out of it. And these are great because you can freeze them. I usually wrap them in a little bit of cellophane and a little bit of tin foil and freeze them. And they're great for pulling out of the freezer for lunch. So you're making your healthy food convenient and at your fingertips. So I have a fridge in my office because I don't always get to the kitchen in between if it's a crazy day. And what I do is I stock it, and you know, these are everyday foods that I can have in there. That if I end up working late, because sometimes as an entrepreneur we can be all over the place and all over the map when it comes to hours. So it's great to have your healthy food on hand.
So how do you store that? How do you freeze that? So do you just put cellophane and parchment paper in between, or
Yeah,
what do you
you can
recommend?
stack them in one. I like to do things individually because it makes it easier to grab and go.
Right.
So I would actually, you know, put, I could cover that in parchment paper and put some saran wrap. Sometimes I'll use like a Ziploc frozen baggie and keep them in there as well. And they'll last, say, anywhere between 2 to 3 months in the freezer.
Oh, excellent. Now, was this pork rubbed with anything, or what kind of seasoning is on it?
Yeah, all we do, because I find in Newfoundland and Labrador, we know how to season with salt and pepper. So sometimes when it comes to other spices, it's like, how can we be creative? And even with a meal, just switching up the spice will change the whole meal as well. So what I did is I took some chili powder and I mixed some olive oil in with it, and I made my own paste. So then what I did is once that paste was made, I actually just rubbed it over my pork and cooked it up in that.
Yummy.
For something a little bit different, and it adds a lot of flavor too.
And we have another pork type wrap over here, pork dish I should say.
Yeah,
What's that?
quick and easy. It's just some pork and lettuce, so that was made. If I was making that to freeze, I would have put some peppers into it. I wouldn't freeze lettuce or tomato because it doesn't come out the best. It's pretty soggy.
Good point, yeah.
But with this one, what you can do is you can do up 8 or 9 of them, like a full pack, and freeze them individually. Again, wrap them in saran wrap and then tin foil and put them in a nice baggie and then take them out individually. The good thing with doing it that way is that you can have a different variation when you thaw it out. So you can eat it as a plain wrap, or if I wanted to thaw it out and then add a little bit of salsa and sour cream, I can make like a little enchilada and eat it with a fork and knife.
Nice. Now, one of the things that kind of makes me catch my breath is, you know, meal prep and the time it takes. You know, I know lots of people who can allocate, you know, 4 to 6 hours a week to do meal prep. But, you know, say if you have young children or if you're traveling a lot, that can be difficult. When I look at these meals, how long does it take to prepare these meals?
For prepping these meals, surprisingly enough, when I was cooking it up, because it doesn't take any more longer to cook 6 or 7 chicken breasts or pork chops, whatever protein portion, as what it does for 1. So what I did is cooked up 2 family packfuls.
Oh, wow.
All
That's
in
a
one
lot
shot.
of pork.
So it's a lot of pork, but it left me with a lot of leftovers.
Yeah.
So then all I did, so that maybe took 8 minutes to cook, tops. And then what I did is sliced up what's left, and then you can freeze that in individual portion sizes and use it for fresh wraps, or if you had a garden salad. If I wanted to go home tonight, if that was chicken, I'd probably do some plain, and I could make chicken cacciatore because the protein's already cooked. So it's an actual investment into time. When I did this meal, the salsa or the mango salad took maybe, I'm going to say, less than 5 minutes to make. It was just firing stuff together and we're good to go. I'm going to say this whole thing, to cook all of this, maybe took 30, 35 minutes.
Oh, wow. And the secret for finding good quality mango is?
I usually buy frozen this time of year in our province.
Hey, it
If
works.
we were down south, it'd be a different story, but the frozen works. What I find with the frozen mango is like I take it and dice it really, really small because it does have a wetter consistency as well. So it's a nice variation.
Yummy. And this, the pork pizza.
That freezes really well, so it was just a variation of my sliced meat. Threw that on. If I wanted to put some veggies, I could have done that, but I wanted to save some time as I was prepping it, so I just did cheese and meat. And sometimes children at home, they're not really into the veggies. I mean, you can hide some things, but some kids like just cheese pizzas. But what you could do with that is just put a little veggie tray on the side when you go to eat and incorporate it in that way as well.
So we're looking at, roughly about 20 minutes, half hour of prep time, and maybe another 20 minutes cooking time for each dish? Or is that too much time?
Too much time for everything that's here. Yeah,
Excellent.
It was just like, because what I've done too sometimes when I cook is I'll use frozen veggies on the side, so that even speeds it up, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
the longest thing that it takes to cook is protein. So once the protein is cooked, you can kind of flip other things together. It's just a matter of taking the pitas out of the package and making everything up individually. But once things are cooked, it's so easy just to put it together and make the wraps and do up so many that you can freeze it. It's just a huge investment into your health and a huge investment.
And the spices
into time.
make a great variation too.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Because you could easily, I could have done a curry rub and did it that way, and sometimes even just sprinkling it into a salad can make a big difference as well.
So what advice would you give to someone, a little bit intimidated by healthy meal planning and cooking and things like that?
I think start small and work your way up. It's a full skill set. There's a full generation that doesn't know how to cook, and healthy eating actually starts in their kitchen. We don't always need a fancy recipe to be following if we simplify and just do the basics. Sometimes what I'll do with a family pack of chicken breasts is just put it in the oven while I'm watching TV, set a timer and go back to it. And again, if you have that base done, you can buy frozen vegetables and put with it. What I did even when I cooked up my pot of rice, I've got a rice cooker and I put a little bit of Italian salad dressing into that to give it a little bit of flavor. And I actually threw my frozen vegetables on top of that and cooked it right in the rice pot. So it made it a whole lot easier to get it out. And you can freeze that in individual portion sizes as well. So I can freeze rice in a 1/2 cup, 3/4 cup portion size that I can pull out and do a beef stir fry another night. Or if I wanted to do a vegetarian option, I could add to that as well.
Well, these are absolutely delicious meals. Thank you so much, Tara, for coming in and showing us and sharing it with us some expert tips here for us.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for the invite.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Newfoundland and Labrador organization of women entrepreneurs. Your goal is to succeed in business. Ours is to make sure you do.
My name is Jennifer Walsman, and I'm owner of Time to Dine, a personal chef service in St. John's. And I've been in business for now about 5 years, and I have tried to figure out over the years my clientele, what offerings I want to provide, and it's taken me a while to figure out what it is I want to do, who I want to cater to. Over the years, I've had many people, make great suggestions as to the services I could try, and I have done so. And it's only recently, after reading Simon Sinek's Start With Why, that I realized I need to start with my why, and I need to do the business that I want rather than what other people suggest. But since doing so, I have made decisions in my business that for me have been a lot better. I'm where I want the business to be, to a point of just growing it now, and I'm happy with what I have. And so I find that if in the back of your mind you always think, well, what is my why? Why did I want to start the business? Who do I want to serve? What are the reasons for it? What do I enjoy most? What do I want to get at the end of the day? How do I want to feel? I think if you ask all those questions, you'll get your answer, you'll figure out your why, and you'll realize that what you're doing is what you want to do rather than what everyone else suggests.
Throughout this season on Extrapreneurs, we're featuring some of the impressive business leaders in Newfoundland and Labrador. Today, we'll head out to Port Rexton for a beer.
I realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur back when I was a kid. I used to always take on different projects. I'd be selling stuff on the side of the road.
But we obviously steered our direction towards this brewery, and yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it.
One of my favorite things about being an entrepreneur would be the ability to be making something directly that you are giving to people. Seeing the results and the reactions really feels good.
That was my answer.
That was her answer.
Yeah. Key to our success, I think, is a lot of hard work. We have a lot of great staff supporting us, and in particular, the town of Port Rexton has been super supportive.
People here in Newfoundland have been ready for all these new breweries to start popping up. We kind of came in at the head of that, which I think we're really fortunate to have that timing.
Who inspires us? Yeah, that's a great question. I think for myself, working alongside my wife, being business partners in this together has been a lot of fun. It's been challenging. So I think from a brewing perspective is other breweries.
Yes, thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Our customers are, the people that are drinking our product inspire us. We see them enjoying our product. You start to see people's palates develop. So before you know it, they're drinking all kinds of different styles of beer, and you're like, wow, that's awesome.
If we can inspire more females and males as well, but more people into the industry is a huge bonus for us.
I think it's really important for business owners to evolve with the market, because the market is constantly changing. We're going to be getting into micro canning. We're going to be putting out small batch cans of 3 to 4 of our core brands.
Our supply is so little and the demand is so high. So we're currently exploring options for expansion. I hope this inspires more women to do something in any other predominantly male-dominated industry.
That's it for today. Coming up next time, we're tackling harassment and gender discrimination in the workplace, and we're talking about supplier diversity. Thanks for being here. See you next time.